We have this Samsung announcement that
Yeah.
they have this solid state battery that features silver that consumes 20 ounces of silver for every car that's produced. And of course, it can take a car 50% longer, and the recharging time is like 9 minutes. It's a tremendous development, and it's going to affect more than cars, obviously. Anything that needs any electricity whatsoever, they will use that battery if it's as good as what they say it is. And the estimates are that they'd need 500 million ounces a year. We mine 800.
Samsung announced its latest battery breakthrough during the SNE Battery Day Expo in Seoul in late July. The solid-state battery, or super battery, as some outlets are calling them, has a 600-mile range and can charge to 80% in just 9 minutes. According to experts, this could be a tremendous development for the coming technological and green energy revolution because of its many advantages, including more energy storage, better safety, and a remarkable 20-year lifespan. But what makes these super batteries of particular interest to precious metals investors is their silver component. Experts say this could be the much-anticipated breakthrough that will significantly increase the demand for silver and send prices through the roof. During a recent discussion with Craig Hemke on the Sprott Money YouTube channel, Sprott Money's Eric Sprott, a legendary investor in the precious metals and resource sector, explained that while gold is hitting new levels and breaking new records successively, silver has not shown much growth in 2024. Eric believes Samsung's super battery has the potential to not only increase silver's growing multi-year supply deficit, but also increase the metal's value and price. Before discussing the probability of a potential silver squeeze after the battery is officially released, Eric talked about the general state of the precious metals market, which, in his words, is quite frustrating right now, despite how wildly gold prices have run in 2024. We will present clips from the discussion. But before we do, please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications bell for more videos like this. We appreciate the support and hope you enjoy the video.
It's funny, as I mentioned, I was going to talk about frustration because when I think back to my gold career, which probably starts in the year 2000, when I first started buying gold and silver and the stocks, and I've had some wonderful wins. And I'll speak to one in particular because would have talked about it many, many, many times. Was Kirkland Lake Gold. And I thought back to myself, okay, 25 years of good times. Why do I always feel so damn frustrated all the time, including today when it's hitting an all-time high? Okay.
Right.
And I put it down to you have this foresight of what should happen, but it happens glacially. And it ultimately gets there. You know, gold did go through 2000. It went through 2,500. Silver broke 30. Hasn't gone to 50 yet, but hopefully it will. But it's the frustration that you think all these things should have happened, but it's glacial. And it takes a long time for the world to catch up with those of us who believe this for a long time.
Yeah.
And I do think about Kirkland Lake that, I could have seen, probably 7 years before it hit its high, exactly what they would earn 7 years out, because you have this ore body, it's going to get developed, you know what they're going to produce, you know what they should make because you have a price assumption. And it took a long, long time for people to go there. And in fact, I would even say this about the people who really didn't go there. I mean, I was the chairman of Kirkland Lake. I saw what employees purchased the shares. I think there was 2 employees purchased the shares, even though I might have been on your program and recommended it every damn week. Yeah. So there's a certain level of frustration there, and I'm going to talk more to that when I talk about a couple of stocks later on. But I think that's something that we all have to go through because we see the problems. As you and I spoke before this session started. I mean, the problems that we all see manifested every day, and who's dealing with it? I could go to the budget deficit. I could go to the positions of the various people running for government and say, well, we're going to tax unrealized capital gains. And oh my goodness, the sense of frustration you have that people see through the lunacy of that type of situation, or we're going to control prices. It's never happened in the history of mankind that anyone control it unless you're in a slavery situation. Um, so all of these things are always frustrating. And even when I talk about the prices of the metals, and perhaps today is not the day that I wouldn't say I'm frustrated on gold because is hitting a new high. Okay, maybe I'll be frustrated if when I finish the day off and I find out that the gold stocks were up like 0.1%. You know, it's just okay. How come there's no follow through here when there should be? We'll just see what happens when we get there. But I would say the most, for example, today for me, the thing that I find frustrating the most on a macro picture is the lack of performance of silver.
Yeah.
And you know that there's already this physical shortage every year of what last year's 215 million ounces in a billion ounce market. And no, in fact, the mining market's about 800 million.
Yeah.
The billion is some recycling going on in there. Okay. So to have a 20% shortage and somehow not manifest itself in the real world is really quite shocking. And then, even if you took ourselves back a couple of months and looked at where photovoltaics were going to go, you think, oh my God, now it could be 300 or 400 million shortage this year, or the imports that India has, the imports that China has. Like, oh my God, how can this thing stay here?
Like Eric, asset manager Kevin Bambro agrees that this could be the big one for silver. While speaking with Kitco News recently, Bambro said, Samsung's new solid-state battery technology includes a layer of silver and carbon on top of the anode, which characterizes its novelty. Since silver is an exceptionally good and stable conductor of electricity, it helps to improve battery life and capacity. It can achieve a range of 600 miles, a life of 20 years, and a charging time of 9 minutes. He added that while official numbers were not available at the time, various estimates suggest that each Samsung solid-state battery cell may contain up to 5 grams of silver. A typical electric car battery consists of about 200 cells, which means that 1 kilogram of silver would be needed for that battery. According to reports, around 80 million cars are produced globally each year. Bambro estimates that if 20% of them use Samsung's new solid-state batteries, the automobile industry alone will use about 16,000 tons out of the 25,000 tons of silver produced worldwide annually. This does not consider the amount of silver used in the production of solar panels. Added to this is the fact that the silver market is already in deficit due to industrial demand, mainly from solar panel manufacturers. The annual consumption is higher than the supply, the asset manager explained. So even now there is no silver that can be used in these batteries.
More recently, of course, we have this Samsung announcement that they have this solid-state battery that features silver that consumes 20 ounces of silver for every car that's produced. And of course, it can take a car 50% longer, and the recharging time is like 9 minutes. I mean, it probably takes 5 minutes to put gas in your car.
Yeah.
You know, like what's 9 minutes if you can get 900 kilometers or 600 miles? So I think it's a tremendous development, and it's going to affect more than cars, obviously. Anything that needs any electricity whatsoever, they will use that battery if it's as good as what they say it is. And it looks like they produced them already. They've shipped them off to some of the car companies to experiment with. And the logic of it seems really obvious. And and by the way, the estimates are that they'd need 500 million ounces a year. We mine 800. Where are we going to get another 500 from? We're already 200 short.
Right.
Like, it's just like, oh man, trying to spit something through this little keyhole is ridiculous. You'd think it would go up. Now, having said all of that, and of course, let's get back to the frustration level. So you got to sit there and watch the silver trade on the COMEX.
Right.
And you realize these banks are short 500 million ounces of silver. 500 million.
Right.
Which I don't think they can possibly buy back because somebody's got to sell it to them. And we already don't have enough sellers. So how the hell are they going to buy it back?
Yeah.
They're not going to buy it back. So fine, they just got to play this game of wash, rinse, repeat, and knock the price down, and then they got to let it go back up again. All the while, even in this decline in silver from 32.50 to 26.50, they hardly covered any shorts. I was shocked.
Right.
None. What'd you do this for? Well, now I know what they do it for. They do it to get off their call options and both in stocks and in the SLV and things like that. They always, of course, have the price where max pain, i.e., most of your customers lose the money. That's where we got to get the price to, right? And so that's still operative, but I can guarantee they're not getting off the shorts. Okay, and I don't think they'll ever get off the shorts, which is worrisome because
Mm-hmm.
someday they may just shut the sucker down, right?
Yeah.
And you know what they did on nickel, they just cancel a bunch of trades. Oh well, the silver was never there anyway, so we're going to move on here. Yeah,
What's it going to take to get silver to kind of be its own thing,
yeah.
to get investors more into the sector to drive the price higher?
Well, I think there's money coming back into the ETFs there. Okay,
Okay.
uh, and I honestly think the banks were using the ETFs to solve some of their delivery problems.
Oh, for sure.
They'd
Yeah.
buy the shares and redeem them
Yes.
and get the physical silver, which let them cover off some of their obligations.
Yep.
I think that game might be ending because I think the money's starting to. People realize that the precious metals are in a bull market. I think they do. And even if the people don't, luckily the computers do, AI does. You know, you don't need people to understand it. You just need to have the people told that it's working. Buy a computer. What should I have bought in the last 6? Well, you should have bought gold stocks or gold or silver. Where have you been, you idiot? Come on. Every day, the thing goes up almost every day. Where, get on the game. And of course, there's been lots of great work done on how undervalued the gold and silver shares are, particularly the gold shares, because the price is $2,500 here.
Yeah.
I mean, to think, that we might have imagined the price is 1,500, and they get an extra $1,000. I mean, everybody's profits have got to have tripled.
Right.
Well, I think we're 37% off the low.
Both Eric and Bambro are predicting an imminent silver squeeze that could potentially wipe out the very large amount of bearish positions held by the same banks that have been suppressing and manipulating the silver market for well over a decade. When the price of silver begins to rise rapidly, the banks and hedge funds will immediately start liquidating their positions. But they can only do this by purchasing the underlying metal. This means silver's price will begin to rise even more rapidly. This all-at-once moment has been the subject of many interviews and discussions in the past few years, but experts like Eric and Bambro are certain that we are much closer than everyone imagines. Bambro is certain that silver should be trading at $200 per ounce, inflation adjusted, within the coming decade, as the green energy revolution takes hold, and more investors realize the importance of these metals to the next era of technological development. Do you agree with Eric Sprott's predictions and analysis? Please share your thoughts on the video and the coming silver squeeze. Also, ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications bell for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you in the next one.